Republican divisions over Ukraine aid. Senators' advocacy clashes with House conservatives' reluctance. As the political climate heats up in Washington, a debate over the urgency and necessity of increased aid to Ukraine rages between senior Senate Republicans and their conservative counterparts in the House of Representatives. At the crux of the dispute is whether funding for Ukraine should be linked with the upcoming short-term spending bill, which aims to avert a potential government shutdown. Senator Lindsey Graham, speaking to CNN, opined that there's a high likelihood that Ukraine aid will be incorporated into the spending bill. He issued a sharp rebuke to conservatives skeptical about supporting Ukraine, drawing parallels between their current stance and past criticisms of President Joe Biden's Afghanistan withdrawal. Reflecting on his August visit to Ukraine, Graham emphasized the proactive stance of Kiev's forces and anticipated significant developments in the region by October's close. He underscored the criticality of continuous support, deeming it a matter of national interest. Concurring with Graham, Senator Tom Tillis advocated for synchronizing Ukraine's financial support with disaster relief. Stressing the urgency, Tillis remarked that the president's drawdown authority might only extend for another couple of months. He highlighted the necessity to demonstrate the U.S.'s long-term commitment to Russia. Addressing House Republicans' reservations, Tillis emphasized the monumental value of collective recognition of global vulnerabilities. Drawing a comparison, he suggested that a lack of support for Ukraine would make the American leadership's failure in Afghanistan appear trivial. Senator Dick Durbin, the Democratic Party's second highest ranking senator, voiced his belief that marrying Ukraine aid with governmental funding would solidify America's unwavering support for the Eastern European nation. However, this unified front of Senate Republicans was not without detractors. Republican Senator Josh Hawley, a longstanding critic of U.S. assistance to Ukraine, expressed reservations about this proposed merger with disaster funding. He ardently believes that European allies should be approached for aid to Ukraine. Elaborating on his skepticism, Hawley raised concerns over the absence of a watchdog to oversee this aid. When questioned about Speaker Kevin McCarthy's potential course of action regarding the incorporation of Ukraine aid in the stopgap funding legislation, Hawley expressed his opposition, suggesting that the final decision lies with the Speaker. Western delegations in UAE over concerns of tech supply to Russia. Delegates from the United States, the United Kingdom, and the European Union recently landed in the United Arab Emirates, Haiti, for crucial talks centered on the enforcement of sanctions against Russia. This initiative is the latest in a series of engagements aimed at ensuring that global partners remain aligned with Western sanctions. The U.S. Embassy spokesperson confirmed this development to CNN. Such gathering occurs against the backdrop of escalating concerns. Specifically, there are rising anxieties that goods, which might bolster Russia's war efforts against Ukraine, are being exported to the former. Wall Street Journal, which was the first to highlight this visit, underscored that the primary agenda is to prevent Russia from acquiring computer chips, electronic components, and other dual-use products. These products are distinctive in their utility, serving both civilian and military purposes. When probed on the subject, a senior UAE official commented, the UAE is working with its friends and allies to address any concerns with regards to sanctions on Russia. It's pivotal to note the historical context. Russia has been facing a slew of sanctions from the West, especially since its full-scale invasion in Ukraine the previous year. However, the jurisdiction of most of these punitive measures, termed primary sanctions, is restricted to the territory of the imposing country. Western officials' visits to the UAE aren't new. In the past 2 years, they have traveled to the region repeatedly to apprise the influential business hub about the potential repercussions of aiding Moscow in sidestepping these sanctions. For instance, the U.S. had earlier imposed sanctions on certain UAE entities and individuals. This was due to their engagement in sanctions evasion activities, including the facilitation of transportation of unmanned aerial vehicles and related equipment from Iran to Russia. The UAE, since the war's outbreak in February 2022, has treaded cautiously, maintaining a balanced stance. While it denounced Russia's aggression towards Ukraine, the Gulf nation simultaneously fortified its economic connections with Moscow. This dual strategy emanates from the UAE's perspective of a world gravitating towards a multipolar order. Thus commits $1 billion in aid to boost Ukraine's counteroffensive. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken unveiled a substantial aid package of $1 billion to bolster Ukraine, spanning military, humanitarian, and fiscal assistance. Blinken remarked during a joint press briefing with Ukrainian Foreign Minister Dmytro Kuleba in Kyiv. With the recent momentum seen in the counteroffensive, this robust support aims to amplify it further. Details from the State Department reveal that the aid encompasses military assistance. The package intends to resupply Ukraine with military equipment that the U.S. had previously provided. This includes components for air defense systems, munitions, ammunition, the guided multiple launch rocket systems for HIMARS, and communication systems, all sourced from the Pentagon's inventory. This is the first instance of the U.S. offering depleted uranium munitions, which are mildly radioactive. These can be employed with the U.S.-made Abrams tanks set to reach Ukraine in the upcoming autumn. Sustainable military support. The aid includes a $100 million commitment via the Foreign Military Financing Program. Blinken, post his interaction with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, elaborated on the future vision. We broached sustainable security arrangements that will ensure continuous assistance, encompassing modern military hardware for land, air, sea, and cyberspace, coupled with training and intelligence sharing. The State Department helms these ongoing dialogues. A, transparency and reforms. An allocation exceeding $200 will channel towards bolstering transparency, anti-corruption measures, upholding the rule of law, and fortifying the justice sector. This initiative is particularly significant given the recent resignation of Ukraine's defense minister amid several corruption controversies within the Ministry of Defense. Additionally, this segment of funding will augment Ukraine's prowess in investigating and prosecuting war crimes, bolstering reconstruction endeavors, and refining financial management practices. Humanitarian aid. The newly unveiled aid earmarks $206 million for humanitarian support, catering to essentials such as food, water, and shelter, benefiting those within Ukraine and refugees in adjacent nations. Additionally, a distinct allocation exceeding $90 million focus on demeaning initiatives. This considerable aid announcement underscores the U.S.'s commitment to Ukraine, especially during these challenging times marked by aggressive external threats and internal reform demands.